She left behind a 9-month-old daughter. She never came home. He came home alone. Isabella Hellman was not just a name. She was a fighter. Born in Cuba, she crossed oceans to build a life in America from zero. No shortcuts. No safety net. She became a licensed real estate agent in Delray Beach, Florida. She bought her own home. She raised a baby girl named Amelia. She did everything right. And then she fell in love with the wrong man, Lewis Bennett, 40 years old, dual British-Australian citizen, charming, experienced sailor, on paper the perfect husband. In reality, a thief, a liar, and the last person to see Isabella Hellman alive. They married in February 2017. 3 months later, they set sail for their delayed honeymoon on a 37-foot catamaran named Surf into Summer. Caribbean waters, blue skies. The kind of trip that looks beautiful in photographs and ends in a body bag when the wrong person is steering. They sailed from Delray Beach to St. Martin, then Puerto Rico, then Cuba, a full month at sea. On May 14, 2017, they left Varadero, Cuba's final leg home to Florida. That night, Lewis Bennett told Isabella to take the helm. He said he was tired. He needed rest. He went below deck. He did not give her a life jacket. No harness. No personal locator beacon. Nothing. A woman with limited sailing experience, alone at the helm, in the middle of the dark Caribbean Sea, with no way to signal for help if something went wrong. Everything about that decision was deliberate. Just after 1 a.m. on May 15th, Bennett activated an emergency distress beacon. The U.S. Coast Guard scrambled. They reached the location 30 miles west of Key Sal, Bahamas. What they found, Lewis Bennett alive floating on a life raft. The boat capsized nearby, sinking slowly. Isabella Hellman gone, not on the boat, not in the water, not anywhere. The Coast Guard searched for 3 full days. Helicopters, ships, grid patterns across miles of open ocean. Nothing. Isabella Hellman has never been found, to this day. The sea swallowed her completely, and her husband floated to safety with his backpack. That backpack, that is where this story breaks open. When the Coast Guard rescue swimmer pulled Bennett onto the helicopter, he noticed something immediately. The backpack was unusually heavy, not gear heavy, not clothes heavy, something else. When authorities later searched the life raft, they found 9 plastic tubes wrapped tightly in clear tape. Inside those tubes, rare gold and silver coins. Collectible, valuable, stolen. The FBI started pulling threads. What unraveled was staggering. In May 2016, a full year before the honeymoon, Bennett had worked as first officer aboard a sailing vessel called Kitty R, docked in St. Martin. The boat's owner reported 617 rare gold and silver coins stolen, worth close to $100,000. Someone had broken open the floor beneath a pallet of food to get to them. Bennett himself had filed a police report, claiming he knew nothing. Claimed he was not even there when it happened. He was lying. In June 2017, FBI agents raided Bennett's apartment in Delray Beach. Inside the master bedroom closet, hidden inside a pair of boat shoes, 162 gold coins. The owner of Kitty R identified them on site. His coins, his floor, Bennett's shoes. Case closed. But the coins were only half the story. Prosecutors began building a darker theory. They believed Isabella had discovered the truth during that sailing trip. Alone with her husband for weeks on open water, she may have found the coins. May have asked questions he could not answer. May have realized exactly who she had married. And on the night of May 14th, somewhere between Cuba and Florida, Lewis Bennett made a decision. A cold, calculated, final decision. The FBI brought in a forensic expert. The expert examined every photograph and every video the Coast Guard had taken of the catamaran before it sank. The conclusion was devastating. The damage to the hull was not consistent with an external collision. It was consistent with the boat being scuttled, deliberately sunk from the inside. Bennett's story, that the catamaran hit something in the dark, was physically impossible. The FBI stated in their criminal complaint that Lewis Bennett had intentionally sunk his own boat. He had planned it. He had executed it. And then he had climbed into a pre-packed life raft and waited. When FBI agents asked Bennett what he had done to search for Isabella after the boat went down, his answer was a single sentence. He had done nothing. No shouting her name. No flares. No searching the water. Nothing. His wife of 3 months, the mother of his 9-month-old child, was somewhere in that dark water. And he sat on his life raft and waited for the Coast Guard to come for him. On February 16, 2018, the FBI arrested Louis Bennett in South Florida, charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors alleged he had killed Isabella Hellman to inherit her Florida estate, to silence what she had discovered, and to escape the consequences of his theft. The case shook the nation. Isabella's sister Diana stood before cameras, face hidden to protect her identity, voice breaking. "He needs to say what happened," she said. "She disappeared and that's it. What happened to her? And we're here suffering." The suffering was not over. In November 2018, prosecutors struck a plea deal. Without a body, without witnesses, without a confession, proving murder beyond a reasonable doubt was a wall they could not fully climb. Bennett pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter. The murder charge was dropped. Isabella's family called it a betrayal by the system that was supposed to protect her. On May 28, 2019, Louis Bennett stood before U.S. District Judge Federico Morno in a Miami federal courtroom. He apologized. He asked the judge for less time so he could raise his daughter. Emilia, nearly 3 years old, was living with Bennett's parents in Scotland. Isabella's family had not been allowed to see her since the night Isabella disappeared. Judge Morno was not moved. He looked at Louis Bennett and said simply, "It's not because I expect that he will commit this crime again. Sentencing is for punishment." He handed down 8 years in federal prison, the maximum under the plea agreement, 3 years of supervised release, $22,910 in restitution. Earlier that same month, the judge had signed a court order officially declaring Isabella Hellman dead. Because without a body, the law required paperwork to confirm what the ocean already knew. A woman who crossed one ocean to build a life, killed on another. Emilia will grow up without her mother. She will grow up knowing only what people tell her. And someday, when she is old enough, someone will have to tell her the truth, that her father packed a life raft, stole a fortune in coins, left her mother alone in the dark with no life jacket, sank the boat, and floated away. That is the weight of what Louis Bennett did. Not just murder, erasure. He tried to erase Isabella Hellman from the earth so completely that even justice could not fully reach her. He almost succeeded. The ocean cooperated. But 9 plastic tubes of stolen coins in a suspiciously heavy backpack, that is what unraveled everything. Greed always leaves a trail. Always. Isabella Hellman never made it home, but her story did. Goodbye for now, and I will see you very soon in our next story. Until then, stay safe, stay aware, and never forget crime never wins in the end.